Hello? 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 Can you hear me okay? Huh? Do you want me to go louder? No. I think we're okay. Thank you very much for coming along tonight. Sorry for a bit of a delayed start. We just tried to make sure we could get as many people along as possible. Great. Team Fear 2023.
Amazing.
It's amazing. Exactly. Yeah. I'd like to introduce myself, first of all. I'm Chris McCreth. I look after the organizing committee, and we're all volunteers. We all do this for fun. We do this for love. We try and get things right. We don't get it all right, but our emphasis has always been on taking care and safety and making sure that the racers have a great time. I'd like to introduce the founder of this race, Mr. Steve Corbin.
Hi. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, so welcome, guys. It's so great to be able to see this thing happening again and see so many of you guys here. We started this event in 2001, and a group of us were doing lots of adventure racing, this sort of sport. And my 8-year-old son said to me he wanted to come and take part. I told him it was too difficult, too hard. They wouldn't let him, so he persuaded me to organise one for him and his friends. And that was as 8 years old, and there he is now, the guy many of you are talking to, emailing, now taking part in running the event. So it's really to give young people a chance to go out and do something adventurous in a controlled environment where we can look after them and take particular care of them and make sure they don't get hurt. But as you'll hear from Chris, so I'll pass back to Chris.
Okay.
Carry on.
Thank you. Like I said, we're a bunch of volunteers. We do this because we love the race. And that's myself, Chris McCreth. Steve, just introduce himself. We've got Niall Greenan. He's actually in Germany, but still helping us. He's working on emails, sending people first aiders and organizing marshals. Joe Healy's actually jumped on a plane tonight, but he'll be back in time for the race. Come on in, don't be shy. Hey,
come in.
Tim Osborne, I saw you.
It's here.
One of our long-term members as well, helps us with all the nautical things and the boats and our kayaking. Irene, Winnie, Thomas, we mentioned earlier. He's our sound man over there. My daughter, Eloise McCreth, she's actually in the UK helping us as well. She's going to jump on a plane on the next Friday night and jump out here to catch the race. And Steve, Tate, and Loic.
Like it here.
Hello, yeah. Loic's over here, yeah. So that's us, really. That's what we do. Next slide, please, Steve. Adventure racing, what's it about? Okay, it's running along trails. As you saw from the video, you can get an impression. We climb up gorges. We go along the coastal sections around DB. There's a water jump, which is a lot of fun. Kids get to jump about 4 meters into the sea. There's an obstacle course, which is a lot of fun. And there's also going to be kayaking. So that essentially makes up the race. Essentially, there's 2 courses that we're running, depending on the age group. Under 9s, 10s, and 11, we call the juniors. And then there's the inters under 12, 13, and 16. Now, the reason why there are yellow and blue is the significance. We actually use a ribbon system to mark the course. We don't provide the course in advance. We actually find it far more fun for people to actually not know where they're going and whether they're going to turn left or right or go straight ahead. Is basically be down to the ribbons that they can see. The ribbons will always be in line of sight. So if you're running on the course and you can't see a ribbon, then you need to stop. You'll be able to see a ribbon at every point that you stand on the course, all right? So you shouldn't be able to go the wrong way. If you're in the older categories, you'd be looking for the blue ribbons. And if you're in the younger categories, the yellow ribbons. I don't think I have to cover this. Are you all DB people? Right, okay, we can skip this slide.
Made your way here, yeah.
If you've made it this far. Timings on the race day. Again, we put this presentation up for people who are not DB, but the registration is going to be happening from 7 a.m. till 8. We'll be then starting our races from 8:30 through to 9 o'clock. Now, we estimate it will take between 2 and 4 hours. In fact, the fastest teams will probably do this in 90 minutes, and they're really fit. They're going to run the whole thing. But we've also got teams that aren't that fit. Doesn't matter. We've got people that will walk the whole course. That's okay. We actually cope for people who are super, super competitive and fit, and people who are just doing it for the first time, learning and finding their own pace, not a problem. So those people might take 4 hours if they actually walk the whole course. We expect all the races to be done by about 1 p.m. and we'll have an award ceremony about 1:30. Everything will be wrapped up possibly before 2 p.m. Okay. Start will be in DB North and the finish will also be in DB North. So basically the promenade, the little bit with the steps, the amphitheater area there. So that's where you need to go to. Hello. It's okay. As I mentioned, follow the color ribbons and look out for people wearing red tops, similar to me or similar to these race official tops. These are our section leaders. We place a huge emphasis on safety, about making sure that this is a safe thing for people to do. And we couldn't do it without all of the marshals and the section leaders to help us. Each section leader controls about 8 to 10 marshals, and they cover a section. And so if there's any issues, these are the people that you need to alert or find. If you have somebody falls down, cuts their leg or something, these are the kind of people that you need to be contacting. All right, I'll talk a little bit more about safety in a minute. Primary concern is going to be protecting your head and protecting your hand. So the absolute minimum is that you need to have some kind of head protection. A bike helmet is fine. Some people use climbing helmets. That's good too, not a problem. But a bike helmet is fine. And you also need some gloves. And the reason really is that if you stumble, you're going to put your hands down. And so therefore, if you've got some protection on your palms, that makes a big difference and protecting you from just minor lacerations and painful injuries. Okay, it could be bike gloves like they have here, fingerless. That's not a problem. You can consider those, or some people have even used like workman gloves in the past. That works too. It doesn't matter. So basically, anything to protect your hands. And these have got to be worn at all times. If you aren't wearing your helmet or you're not wearing your gloves, the marshals will stop you. And not let you race until you put your safety equipment back on. Other things that you need to consider is about water. As we know, it can get quite hot, even now that the temperature has gone down. When the sun's out, it's very bright and it's easy to get dehydrated, especially if you're running and you're panting. So therefore, we'd suggest that you're carrying around 1 liter of water. Some people can get away with less. We will have water stations, which people can refill. But that's important that they carry water. It could be in a camelback. You see those hydration backpack systems. That's cool, not a problem. If you don't have one of them, it's not a problem. Just a small backpack, put a water bottle in there, and then that's fine. That'll keep you hydrated. We would recommend you use appropriate shorts. We've had people run in jeans, a bit like this, which is not good because when they get wet, they start to rub and they start to chafe, and it can be very, very painful. Plus, they're very heavy when they're wet, jeans and cotton material. So if you've got some sports shorts, then that's fine. Again, you can see down here, we've got a selection of stuff from one of our sponsors, APA, and you can actually see the kind of equipment and shorts and things they might need. We recommend trainers. It's probably a good bet for your feet. You need something with a bit of grip. So if it was just tennis shoes, that's probably too slippy because there's going to be some wet terrain that you're going to be stepping onto. So you need something with some tread and some grip. We also recommend proper socks. Don't just use the ankle socks, which are quite kind of trendy at the moment. We prefer that you take something that's actually going to cover your ankle, give you a little bit more protection. And also sunscreen. If it's going to be hot, you apply that before the race, and insect repellent. Okay, it can be the case that in some of the areas that you're going to go to, there may be some mosquitoes. All right, just to let you know. As I mentioned, drink lots of water. Try and carry, say, 1 liter if you can. We can top you up. We're going to have water stations along the thing. And just to re-emphasize, please try to rehydrate and drink regularly. Okay, that's quite important. What we don't allow people to do is to run and carry a bottle. Like I said, you can use a backpack system. Some people use a belt like joggers use. You can put a bottle in there. That's okay. But the reason why we don't want you to run with a bottle is if you fall down, you've got one hand already with something in it. You've got one hand less to protect yourself with. And for after the race, each runner should prepare an after race bag. That needs to have some dry clothing, perhaps a pair of flip-flops, a sweatshirt, something dry that they can change into, because you will get wet, you will get sandy, you will get obviously sweaty and everything else. So you're going to want to change. Now, the race bag can be handed to us at the registration at the beginning. We'll put that all together. We'll put a team number on there. So if you're team 406, we'll write that on the bag, and then we look after that until you actually come across the finish line. We hand that back to you, okay? Team safety, what to do if there's a problem. Okay, so the whole concept of this race is that this is a team race. You need to support each other and help each other. There's no point tearing ahead. If one of you is very, very fit and very, very competitive and the other perhaps isn't, there's no point splitting up, because again, the marshals will stop you. They'll say, where is your partner? If they can't see your partner within a few meters, within 4 or 5 meters, they're going to say, what's going on? Sometimes it happens where people, you know, are very, very gung-ho and they go for it, and other people are less happy, so they hang back. But that's not the point of the race. The point of the race is you must compete as a team. You start as a team and you finish as a team. You stay together at all times. And critically, if somebody is hurt, then that's where your team member helps, okay? So they basically, perhaps the person's fallen over, they bang their knee, perhaps they're bleeding. That can happen. At that point, then the team member stays with them, okay? You don't desert your team member, you stay with them. And the next racing team that come past you, you alert them and say, look, we're in trouble, help, send the marshal to us. The likelihood is we'll see you if you have a problem anyway, because we use so many marshals. We're probably using close to 200 marshals for this race. We'd be able to see people who have issues. We'll have a line of sight to all the runners. However, the rules are basically tell the next team that comes along to make sure, please tell a marshal, and then we'll definitely get somebody to come back and help you. If you need to be evacuated or dealt with on the spot or patched up, we can arrange that and sort that out. We have a trained team of first responders or first aid trained. We have a dozen of them which we're going to be using on the course. They'll be put out in kind of strategic points, strategic areas, and we'll also have them at the finish as well. Plus, we'll have a mobile team with a golf cart, so we can get to certain parts of the course very fast if we need to. So don't worry about that side of it. It's well covered. People can withdraw from the race. It does happen. People get fed up. Oh, I can't do it anymore. I don't want to, you know, just too much. It's not a problem. You have to let us know, though, because we count everybody out and we count everybody back. And if you don't let us know, then we will go out to the mountain looking for people. Now, it's very difficult to get lost because we also operate a sweep system. A sweep system is basically we have a trained marshal that's going to go behind the last runners, and therefore we are going to be following the last runners around the course. So therefore we can't lose people. But if people do decide they've had enough and they go, oh, I'm going to go to McDonald's and get an ice cream, it causes massive problems for us. So please understand that from the safety perspective, you have to let us know what's going on. If you're going to withdraw, okay, but it must be done through one of the marshals, through the section leaders, and so that we know we don't have to send the emergency services looking for you. Okay, the rules summary. Basically, team numbers will always be displayed. We'll actually issue with team numbers, which will go onto your helmets. And we also actually do an extra thing. We actually number people's arms and legs and things like that to make it very, very obvious which teams they're in. They'll be given a green race shirt for all the runners, and those must be worn. And that's for identity purposes. We need to know who's in the race, who isn't. Okay, so we'll issue those on at registration in the morning. And the safety equipment that we spoke about, which is helmets and gloves, have got to be worn at all time. I would say people are not allowed to use outside support. It has happened in the past where people have got a bit fed up and mum's got the golf cart and they jump in the golf cart, drives them along to the next bit. That's not really fair. It's not really the spirit of the race, so we do frown on that. So please, no kind of outside support or getting the bus and things like that. That's not really good. As I mentioned before, teams start, finish, and run together. That's very, very important. Listen to the officials. Sometimes the officials will actually slow people down, particularly if they're coming down, they're descending, perhaps coming down the mountain. It's very easy to go too fast. And we know the areas that are dangerous. We know the areas that potentially are big hazards. So we'll be slowing people down and saying, look, you're going too fast. Physically, they'll slow people down and stop them. So listen to the marshals. As I mentioned before, withdrawal of a team is only via the race officials, please. Now, there's nothing in this that's mandatory. If people are worried about jumping into the water, for example, you don't have to do it. What we do is we just work out how long it would take for you to jump in and come back out again. And then we would just hold you at that spot until that time limit's gone, and then you complete. Okay. We don't want to push anybody beyond their own comfort zone. That's not the idea. We just want people to enjoy themselves, find, new boundaries for themselves, new things that they can grow for. But at any time, if something feels too kind of, too difficult, too much, just let us know. We can accommodate that. Okay. If things go wrong, and they do sometimes, but rarely, then of course make a protest to us. But do keep it polite. It tends to be the parents that get far more excited about this than the kids. The kids are normally very cool about it. Sometimes the parents go, "What?" And something went wrong with something. We will try and be as absolutely fair as possible. That's our intention. We want people to have a great opportunity and a great race. So that's going to be our thing. But we must say to you, our decision is final. It's a bit like the referee on the football match. Somebody has to make a final decision. So please accept that. Excuse me, my voice is a bit dry. One other thing is, have you done waivers? Have everybody here done a waiver? Yes, no? If you have, very nice. If you haven't, then contact us because we can make sure that happens. Everybody must have a waiver. Okay, basically a parent or guardian must be signing off the youngster to make sure it's okay for them to run. And that's obviously critical for insurance purposes, etc. The weather forecast is good. I've seen the long range number, it's about 23, 24, and probably the coldest it might be is about 19. We have run this race 18 times, and we've only ever postponed one race, and that was because there was a fire in DB. This was, what year was it?
2003, I think. Or
Oh, really?
2002, 2003. Yeah.
Anyway, the fire was actually quite scary because you could sit in the plaza and you could look up on the mountain and there was a red ring going around all the hills, basically all around DB. And it was so bad, it burnt all of our course markings. It burnt all of the trails. You couldn't see where you were going. We had to actually postpone that race and have it in the springtime. But should we postpone this race, it will be held on December 10th. All right. But come rain or sleet even, we're going to run the race. Don't worry. It's going to go ahead. It's only going to be in extraordinary circumstances that we won't run the race. Okay. We would like you guys to think a little bit about the rationale behind this race. We know that everybody who's actually taking part in this race are actually quite well off. The youngsters who are doing this race, they don't have to worry about where they're going to sleep or what they're going to eat and what they're going to be doing to look after themselves. We partner with a charity called Youth Outreach, and we have done for the last 14 years. These people, Youth Outreach, actually help youngsters who are literally perhaps out on the street. They haven't got a family, they haven't got homes, they haven't got great schools to go to. And Youth Outreach does a great job in helping these people. So if people can help us, what we need to do is help us to raise money as well. We have a special sponsorship form that we could send to people, which basically asks you to find aunties, uncles, grandparents who might want to sponsor you for doing this race. And it doesn't matter the amount. We're very, very kind of grateful for anything that you can do. But the concept really here is to say, try and give back or pay forward to people who are perhaps less fortunate than yourselves and haven't got the opportunities. So we'd love it if every team could help us raise, say, an additional $500. Like I say, we do this all for love and voluntary. We just pay all of our costs, and then we pay all of our excess monies over to Youth Outreach. I think in the time that we've been with Youth Outreach, we've probably given them over $1.5 million. And we'd like to basically keep that trend up, basically. So I ask you if you could be kind and help us to raise some additional sponsorship. That would be fantastic. If people want to make cash sponsorships, we can arrange for tax receipts as well, because Youth Outreach will give you a tax receipt for the money that you want to give. So that can be done too, if that helps people. Okay, just to emphasize, safety is the absolute highest priority. In dangerous areas, like I mentioned earlier, race officials will slow you down, and we need to pay attention to them. Okay, this section of the briefing is going to be about marshals. Are some of you helping us as marshals? Can I ask a show of hands as to who's going to be on the day? Okay, thank you so much. Like I say, we couldn't run this race unless we had the support we do from the marshals. And one of the questions we like to ask people is, what do you consider, perhaps we'll ask the youngsters in the room, what do you think the biggest problems are for us in this race to organize and to run this race? Any ideas?
No?
There. What do you think? Getting parents to allow you. That's the thing. That's the thing, okay. That's a challenge in itself. So that's one of the challenges, getting your parents to not to understand and to let you go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, possibly. Okay. Sometimes the races, the children are an issue for us. Are there any answers that you want to? Oh, here we go. Getting marshals to the correct area? Yeah, that's a challenge for us. Yeah, we're quite organized in terms of we have a very strong section leader system, which then organizes those people and gets them in place. The chap in the green shirt, what were you going to say? Not going to McDonald's. Yes, exactly. Yeah, hopefully you don't kip out and do it. Anyway, I think the lad over here came very close to it. The real issue we have as parents, actually. It's not because it's not so much that the parents won't let you race, because if you've got this far, you're coming to the briefing, you've obviously won that battle, you've actually achieved that, well done. But sometimes what happens is the parents are very, very invested in how their children do. I'm a parent, okay, I've got lots of kids. I know the same feeling. You're obviously going to be invested, sometimes too invested, okay? And comical things can happen, which can be dangerous. So for example, out on the section on the course, you'll have parents there and they'll want to see their youngster go past. And perhaps they're standing on a bridge and the youngster's going on a stream underneath or something. And we've seen it happen whereby mum calls and says, Johnny, up here. And then somebody does, and then they fall over, okay? Because their concentration is lost. You know, when they're making their way through the trail, they're looking for where to put their feet. It could be wet, could be slippery. They can be easily distracted. And it's not what we need you to do, okay? We need you to be there to support, but try not to distract the runners. The other thing that happens sometimes is parents think they know where the course is going to go and they give the wrong advice to runners as well. And that's a bit of a tangle to try and sort out, because when you've got kids that have gone 6 different ways and then they get lost, that causes a tremendous issue in terms of trying to find out who won to sort that out. So yeah, parents, please bear with us. It does happen. Some parents want to run the course with their kids. We don't allow it because basically it's a danger issue for us because we cope with looking after the kids. We don't have a mechanism to cope with the parents as well in terms of looking after their safety. So parents aren't supposed to follow the kids around the course. There are certain areas of the course where it's very dangerous for parents to go as well, because it could be quite narrow. And if parents stand there as well, it just takes up more space and it gives less space, less room for the runners to go through. Be aware of where you stand, or sometimes golf carts, people who might drive their golf carts to certain sections, it's okay, but please don't block our line of sight. So try and park your golf cart a little bit further away from the racers or away from the route. And then we can prevent kind of issues whereby, we can't see what's going on because golf carts are in the way. On the morning of the race, we will provide and we'll put online the actual route. And we'll actually then indicate to people where the good places are to go. If you want to catch this happening, you want to watch the gorge, which bridge you go to, etc. We can give that information in advance, but please try and pay attention to that and not cause additional traffic issues. Please don't give directions to kids. So parents, if you're not involved, then just support your kids. It's not a problem, but please don't give additional advice because quite often it's wrong. It happens sometimes that parents will see kids running a certain way. And then actually the next lot of kids perhaps will go a different way. It could be a different age group. The parent might not be aware of the color coding system. And so therefore they end up tending, oh, they went that way. And then we have a problem because then we have people who've been misdirected. Okay. Cool. There we go. Okay. Marshal volunteers, to let you know, we have a team of about 20 section leaders who are very experienced marshals themselves. They organize between 8 and 10 marshal volunteers. And they will contact you in advance. So they'll set up little WhatsApp groups. So if you're working on the beach system or you're working on the obstacle course, they'll tell you in advance where you're going to be. They'll tell you where you need to meet on the morning of the race, and they'll fill you in. So these are the people that you have direct contact with. If you've got issues or something, just keep in contact with them, and they can guide you the right way. It's very important that marshals stay in their assigned positions because it's a safety thing. We need to make sure that all the kids are accounted for, and we can't have marshals standing down, leaving a position, because that gives us a blind spot that keeps us a problem. So if you're marshalling, then you've got to be committed to helping us till you get relieved, till you get told to stand down. Now, it could be that if you're marshalling, you can't get back to the finish in time. Okay, unfortunately, that is the case. But what we will do is we'll have a videographer, we'll have a photographer, and we will capture everybody as they come across the finish line as well. So if you don't see it yourself, we'll have some great photos and great video that we can share with you guys. Okay. If you're on the road crossing through, which sometimes marshals are assigned there, I would just emphasize that we don't ever try and stop the traffic. In the past, we've had parents and marshals who were very keen and said, no, the kids should take priority, we should stop the traffic. But the reality is, you might not be able to stop that truck. It could be a truck that's come from outside of DB, doesn't understand the culture, doesn't understand the roads here, and if you stand in the road and actually try and stop them and they don't stop, what are you going to do? Okay, they're going to run over you and they're going to run over the kids as well. So we always say, stop the runners. If there's traffic coming, stop the runners, physically stop them at the side of the road. When the traffic's clear, let them go. All of our road crossings will also have DB security guards as well, to help, just in case there's any language issue or anything like that. But generally, it's not a problem. Remember, stop the runners, don't try and stop the trucks. If you are volunteering to be a marshal and something happens and you haven't got availability, perhaps you're sick or something like that, not a problem. Just let us know. Your section leader, go through to your section leader and tell us. Like I say, we'll be using over 115 marshals this year. And we're still a little bit short. So if anybody hasn't volunteered, then they're welcome to. They don't have to be a parent. It could be a domestic helper. It could be a friend. It could be an older sibling. We just ask that they're at least 15 years old. So they're quite sensible, and we can give them responsibility to help us. And it doesn't matter if you're not particularly adventurous yourself. We sort the marshals out to the courageous ones and the ones who are less courageous, okay? So if you're a little bit worried about it and you don't want to do an adventurous, I understand, we can put you on a quiet section, whereby you can, there's not a huge demand. If you're particularly courageous, we'll put you up on a mountain, or in the sea even. We have people who are helping us with the kayaks and people who are helping us with the water jumps. If they're not frightened of getting wet, then we'll sort out, we'll cut the cloth to these individual people and match their capability. So the help that we need, we'll have a course setup happening on the Saturday. We have a beach cleanup. We're working with, I think it's DB Green and a couple of the environmental groups here in DB. And we actually go through the beach. This is the beach by North Plaza. We actually go through it and kind of sweep it. We pick up all the cans and plastic bottles or glass bottles or, broken things that have to get washed up all the time. So we want to make sure that we have a nice clean environment. So if you can help us, great. Help your section leader at the end. You may see ribbons that are still up while the race is finished. Those need to come down. We need to basically make sure that we leave the course cleaner than before we started using it. Okay, so basically we don't want to have plastic bottles left behind and trash left behind, etc. The finish line will be in the North Plaza, and if you're around, give us a help clearing up, because we all the best, all the having more volunteers and more hands makes light work. Okay. Have a great race. I'd just like to mention APA, who are over here. They've got a selection of stuff. If you're interested, if you haven't thought about getting the bike helmet or the shorts or whatever, you can have a look, have a chat with them. They can connect you up with some gear. So, questions?
Routes only or multiple?
Okay. For the most part, the routes are the same. The junior course is about 8 kilometers. The seniors is about 10. The inters is about 10. They'll basically run an extra loop, a couple of loops, and they actually have a bit more of a ascension as well. They actually go higher. I think in the number of meters, they're actually higher. So it's a bit tougher for them. Yeah, that's right. Okay, there's no swimming per se. Okay, what we do is there are two areas whereby they're going to come in contact with water. One is the kayaks, all right, and the other one is the water jump. In both of those areas, the kids will wear life preservers. They'll wear what we call PFDs, personal flotation devices. We issue these out to the kids. We supervise them as they put them on, make sure that they're done up tight, make sure they're done up correctly, because it's important. Obviously, it's a life safety issue. All right. Yes, similar to all the things you saw in the video. That's right.
But not the rock climbing, not the rock climbing part.
Yes.
Yeah,
Not the rope work, because that's going to be seniors only, which we haven't run this year. Okay.
They climb up.
Yeah,
No.
so not for this race. No,
Yeah.
that's just when we have the older competitors,
Yeah.
sort of 16 upwards.
Just to explain, we normally run races up to under 19, so 18-year-olds. And therefore, we include a lot more adventurous stuff like rope work, abseiling, these kind of things. We're not doing that because this is a reboot race. This is the first time we've been able to run since COVID. COVID restriction only got lifted in March this year. So basically, we're rebooting our race. And to simplify it, we're just having the juniors and the inters. Next year, we'll expand it again back up to the under 18s, then we'll have the rope work, etc.
I think the doesn't do this.
No, only the inters are doing it. Yeah, but don't worry, that's right. It's just basically if you follow your route marking, then you'll see the bits that you have to do. Yes. Will you see snakes? We do get this question sometimes.
Only if you're really lucky.
Yeah,
very, very lucky.
We've run this race 18 times since 2001. I don't think we've ever seen a race with a snake in it. I mean, I've seen snakes walking in the hills in DB, yes, but they don't like noise. And so even before the runners get to the course, we've had marshals on there, we've got route setters on there. They all kind of slither away and go into their holes and stuff. So I really wouldn't worry about running into a snake. No. It's secret. Yeah, it is secret. It's not hard to work out. But we don't tell the route in advance because basically we don't want people to have an advantage. Like for example, here we're all the DB people. You have a technical advantage because you live here. So that's not fair to somebody who comes from the French school, who's coming from Hong Kong, who are competing as well. So the first reason is that you try to keep it a level playing field. The second reason, it's more fun. If you don't quite know where you're going, it's much more interesting than if you know in advance.
Be doing the hot dogs and this.
Okay, great. We'll announce that.
Oh, also, I work with.
Oh, wonderful.
Say again, sorry?
Thank you.
Be ready when they finish. So
The steering, there's no requirement for you to get into the water. Okay, so basically the time that we picked to do it, the tide is very low. So basically it's all the exposed rocks and the marshals will be there watching you so you don't go into the water as well. Okay.
The other.
It's a good question. Okay. We call them orphans. If somebody loses a partner, yeah, I know, it's just a technical term. If they lose a partner and they're on their own, or it can happen at the beginning of the race. It can happen even at registration, because you'll have people that are coming in and somebody is last minute sick, they can't run. I'll say, so what we will do is we will then assign them to another team and then they can complete the race. So if it happened in the middle of the race, the next team coming along, we'd say, okay, please, you've got to run as a team of 3 now, look after each other, and off you go to the finish. And at the beginning, if it happened at pre-registration, we would do the same thing. We'd find a willing team and partner them up. We try and get people who are about the same ability because we don't want people to get slowed down, by a newcomer that's joined their team. We try to be quite fair about that. But people can still run the race, yes.
How the marshalling will work, like people like kayak. So for example, if one of the kayaks capsizes, how do the marshals assist?
We've got the section leader here. Do you want to answer this, Tim, or do you want me to take it?
We try not to intervene too much. We try and encourage kids to work it out for themselves, but we do give advice and tips. But obviously, if there's a real problem, the reason we're there is to step in if there's a real safety issue. So we do have people who are very familiar with being on water, in the water and can help and assist if required. We've got some marshals will be on kayaks, so that if some of the races are in the water and they just need to grab on something safe, they can do. We've also got powered craft, and we've got some ribs, inflatable raft, which if somebody is in a bad way, we can put them in there and take them off to shore very, very.
Yeah. Any more questions from the offline? Okay. Other people?
How do you know which way you go? Is there like, are there signs?
Okay, you might have missed because at the beginning. Basically, the course is color coded. All right. So if you're in the under 9s, 10s, and 11s, you're running the yellow course, and you'll see yellow ribbons marking the way. If you're older in the under 12, 13, 16, then you'll see blue ribbons. Okay. So look at the way that it'll be set is that you'll always be in sight of a ribbon. So if you can't see a ribbon, that means you've possibly gone the wrong way. But yeah.
Chris, just one other. But one quick announcement for those of you that are familiar with the North Plaza and Bayside Dental, they are very, very kindly, they're going to be providing hot dogs for all of the racers and people when they finish. So food at the finish at Bayside Dental. So wander up there, and they'll take great care of you.
Yeah. Another question? We may have a solution. We may have a solution. You can have the bun. Maybe we could get you 2 buns. Okay. All right. One of our helpers, Siegfried, actually may have solutions actually because for some non-meat alternative as well. Yeah. Okay. We'll try and accommodate things. Other questions? If it's not about hot dogs. Oh yeah.
E-ticket, because I received e-ticket for my junior, but not for my inter child. I don't think so.
An e-ticket. Okay, so when you registered through Ticket Flat, right, they gave you a ticket back, right?
One team.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
We can probably check.
We'll follow up. We'll get your details afterwards and follow up for you.
We can check that here.
Yeah, we'll check that. Yeah.
So if the race lasts so long, to advise some of the kids would take some energy gels and snacks or something to go with them. I just don't know, right? You know, some of the, they might sit there and prick, and eat and then run and go and get.
It's a good question, particularly if it's a little bit cold as well, and people's energy level is low. Again, APA actually have products that can help for that, like they have gel packs and energy bars, things like that. If you don't go for those things, then basic things like bananas are very good. You can provide the big kind of boost. You like bananas, do you? Yeah. Yeah. Do the kids need any ID? Yeah. Do the kids need any ID for registration? No, it's not a problem. Yeah, we're not expecting people to bring ID cards or anything like that. If they just turn up and say, we're the Screaming Eagles team, and my name is, Bill Smith or Jenny Smith, then we'll sort it out from there. Don't worry. I don't think we've ever had any imposters turning up. It might happen. It might happen. And I'll be kind of flattered if it does. If people are going to go so far to try and get into the race without actually paying or whatever, it's kind of flattering. It hasn't quite happened yet, but, it's a good question. Any other questions? Yeah. Yes, when we register people, so basically, we'll register the team and the names, we'll tick you off. We'll make sure you've got a waiver signed as well for your parents, because if you don't have a waiver, you can't run. We'll issue them with stickers for their helmets. We'll also issue them with a team, with a race shirt, a green shirt, okay? And again, that's for identity, so we know everybody who's in the race, okay? Any more questions? Correct. The kayaking is going to be for the older categories. So under 12, 13, 16. co-steering running, the gorge running, the obstacle course, and the water jump. Everybody does the water jump. Yeah. In fact, it's one of the most enjoyable things. People love it. Yeah. Yeah. I'll give you a story from back in 2016. It was, the weather was really bad. We were in the North Plaza. I had probably 250 kids waiting to start. And it was drizzling down. Do you remember that year?
Yep,
It was
yep.
terrible. And I was talking to the kids and I said, guys, are you ready to race? And they go, yes. And I said, look at the weather, it's hitting and it's ripping and it's cold and miserable. Why are you so happy? Because we're allowed to run in the rain. Normally, parents are quite protective, you know. They're raining, you come in, you know, where's your umbrella? Where's your raincoat? They were allowed to run around, and the kids were so pleased. So they enjoy it so much. They really, really get a big buzz out of this race. That's why we do it. Any more questions? Okay, if there's anything, you know, they might be shy about, come up and see us individually. We'll be hanging about. We'll come back with you and sort out the registration thing for you. But otherwise, look forward to seeing you and have a great race.
Great.
Thank you.